Hello, dear friends. Here we are, Kardec Radio, nourishing our souls, illuminated prayers. Illuminated prayers from the illuminated spirits as reported in the books by André Luiz, through the medium Chico Xavier, and some of them through also Valdo Vieira. We have been studying Nosso Lar, the messengers, missionaries of the light. We have studied Between Heaven and Earth, Workers of the Life Eternal, Sex and Destiny, and life goes on. Liberation. In these books, we find a coaching program for our souls. André Luiz is not only reporting, but he writes in a way that it's teaching us to see ourselves and our lives in two realms. It's like this. I don't have bifocal lenses, but let's say pretending I do. It's like looking far, looking close, looking far, looking close. This is André Luiz's goal, to teach us to see life in two realms. We are spirits living on earth. We are children of God. We are children of God, but we've reincarnated to learn to do good for God's sakes. And I know people who strive to be an adult just to stay in the standstill mode. How's that? It's crystallizing. We need to begin anew. Look at children. Children teach us every day to be flexible. Yes, to open ourselves to the new. We need to wake up every day and say, I'm open to learning the good and the new and the loving way of being. Suffering is a consequence of our resistances, of a perception that is distorted. So André Luiz teaches us the blessings in disguise, because the disguise is just in our eyes, because at the end of the day, everything is a blessing, right? I see beautiful friends joining us here at Kardec Radio. Welcome, friends. Yay! We are nourishing our souls together. Remember, this program at 11 p.m. began in 2016 when we were studying the book Paul and Stephen. November 10th, 2016. A day after the American elections, the good spirits, after the results of the American elections, advised us to work 3 times harder to assist, to help, to support the people who needed to revisit their life is so loving, so optimistic. There is a reason why things get the way they are. And it's been almost 3 years that we are in this journey together, stronger, a book after another and after another, revisiting the treasure that Spiritism has given us on earth, right? I see Letícia, Tia Lê. Big hug to you, Tia Lê. Saudades. Carol Correia is here. What a joy. Lea Severo put together this beautiful list of illuminated prayers in André Luiz books. And amongst other reasons, the reason being, the spirits wanted us also to disclose the study of these prayers, right? Thank you, Leah. Thank you. Sunshine, big hug to you. By the way, Monday, June 3rd, our dear Sunshine is going to come back to Kardec Radio to start a new live program Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Sunshine's gonna be here with us studying the cases of the spiritual dialogue with Kardec through the mediums. It's the reality show of the spirits, the cases of the spirits in the book Heaven and Hell. I think you're gonna love it. It's gonna be so exciting and a lot of learning. Thank you, Sunshine, for your willingness to share this good with us. Betsy, big hug to you. John De Rosa, our dear friend, thank you for coming here and for helping us. Nuno, how have you been? Karina Alice, what can I say but thank you. Melissa, beautiful Melissa, big hug to you. Lots of blessings. Thank you. June 2nd, really? Oh, it's Sunday then. All right. Sorry, Sunshine. Mamma mia. What am I saying? Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. Sunshine's gonna be here with us. 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Thank you. Are you ready, friends? Are you ready? Today we're studying one more illuminated prayer that is coming from this book, Sex and Destiny. I know many people are like, oh my gosh, sex. No, it doesn't talk about things that are illicit. No, it talks about life, about two families, two couples who were married, had their children. Their children got together and the couples exchanged. It's a mess, I know, drama. But at the end of the day, the good spirit showed to us how these two non-spiritual, non-religious families are constantly surrounded by blessings that they don't notice, but they are. Tailoring their progress as much as possible, and we figure out if we help on our end, it's much easier for the good spirits. We were studying last night the case of Marita, her discarnation, and the blessings of 2 weeks in a coma. André Luiz shows to us the transformation of many lives, including hers. And now, we're coming to another chapter in this book, where we've come to know that the very mentor of these two families, 150 years ago, was the one that pushed these two families to their wrongdoings. He suffered, evolved, and committed himself to help, redeeming himself to the blessings of bringing everybody back to their best disposition. Brother Felix. Now it's time that Brother Felix reincarnates. Because Brother Felix is not an angel yet, though a superior spirit, superior than the other ones. So for those who haven't read the book or who have read the book, where are we in the story? Marita discarnates, and then a group of loving spirits helps so that our dear Marina and Gilberto get married. Marita later is prepared to reincarnate as a daughter. So the relationship of parents and their children is so sacred that in that relationship we can make amends. Please read chapter 14 of the Gospel according to Spiritism. In item 9, we learn about the planning of a reincarnation of those who were not the best friend of ours. So there is great need for us to reassess our relationship with our parents or with our children. There's much responsibility in it. And Marita reincarnates, and next is Brother Felix. Brother Felix is supposed to reincarnate as part of that family to help the family and also to help the grandmother, Marina's mother, Marcia, who really is lost in her own life. That's exactly the chapter we're studying. Chapter 14 of part 2 of the book Sex and Destiny. Okay? There's no rush for us, but just to know that this is a moment of deep, deep, deep reflection. Right, Alicia Ramos? Welcome. Daisy, big hug to you. Felicia, how have you been, Felicia? Welcome to Cardiac Radio. So chapter 14, how does Andre Luis begins this chapter that is the last chapter of the book? Having received an extension of my term at an institute in the spiritual realm in order to further my studies, Andre Luis says that he stayed with Brother Felix until Brother Felix resigned as its director to start preparing for his endeavors. Pause for a second. Have you observed that Andre Luis, in all of his books, he's showing to us that he's doing internship after internship, learning courses. Are we going to wait to discarnate or to be a child again to be open to learning? No. If I am open to learning every moment of my life, I do it. Like tonight, Virginia came to me and said, Mom, I want you to teach me how to sew. And then I thought, oh my gosh, I know the basics, right? I could turn her down and say, oh, Virginia, no, I'm not good at it. But what am I teaching her if I just turn her down and say, I don't know anything about sewing? That I'm not Superwoman, that's a good teaching experience. But I said, Virginia, I know just the basics, but I can share with you what I know. And she said, what are we gonna do? I thought, do you know how to sew a button? And she said, well, I remember in pre-K the teacher taught us how to sew a button, so I already know that. Well, so let's begin where you left off, because you're already at the end of the kindergarten year. So it's a good thing to recap. So let's sew a button. Okay, here we are sewing a button. And she asked, what's next? I'm like, okay, I know how to make a mini bag. And then she said, Mom, every day you're gonna teach me how to sew. I said, thanks to YouTube, I can learn a little bit. She says, one day we're gonna make a dress. Yes, one day, not today. But you see, it was a learning experience for me too. If I am not open to that learning, I am passing on to the next generation. Don't be open to new learning. So it takes an effort to really go there, especially when you are at the end of the day, you're tired. But what are we here for in this life, if not to push our limits, right? To expand our experiences, our knowledge. We need to push, keep pushing, push, 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 laboring a new person in us. How does that happen? Efforts and repetition. Says Andre Luis in the book Evolution into Worlds. Learning, we're learning beings. But in order to learn, we need to make an effort. So learning doesn't come out of the blue. That's why many people are close to learning. Andre Luis shows to us in our solar that in that last life, he was close to learning. He knew it all. He was like stiff, closed, dead, pretty much, mentally speaking. In the afterlife, he learned he had to be open-minded, open, and make an effort, always making an effort. And in this last chapter of the book, Sex and Destiny, our dear Andrea Lewis is saying to us that time and again, he is learning, studying. No wonder the good spirits, as reported in the Gospel according to Spiritism, the Spirit of Truth said, instruct yourselves and love one another. Instruct ourselves. Thank you, Felicia. Lisa Teles, how have you been? Ivone Medeiros, big up to you. So the instructor, Brother Felix, had chosen Casa da Providência to say farewell to the community. So he's preparing to reincarnate, but he needs to wrap up many things here. When the day arrived, the doors of the building were open early in the morning to everyone who wanted to say goodbye to their beloved instructor, who was considered a hero by all the residents at the Institute. Interesting enough, for those in the Institute, he was a hero. But if you asked Marcia, who was reincarnated, but 150 years earlier, was deceived by that spirit, she didn't consider him a hero. And this is us. We may be good in the books of some people, but not so good in the book of others. Big deal. Don't feel defeated for it. It's humbling, right? But love conquers it all. Right, Melissa? Love is the most powerful force, for sure. Ministers from the city, admirers from neighboring places, representatives from several service organizations, all the authorities from the organization, friends, disciples, beneficiaries, and other colleagues coming from farther away, all gathered together there as brothers and sisters in a single vibration of gratitude and love. Regis had been informed that the instructor would like to see the patients once more during his final hours of administrative activity, but realizing it would not be possible because of time constraints, he asked us to go to the patient wards and select those who were capable of attending the transference of powers without upsetting the endeavors at hand. We chose 200. It's almost like a joke, like when you think choosing, you think 1, 2, 3. But there were so many patients that they chose 200 who would not cause problems, and longing to highlight Felix's incessant dedication to these less fortunate brothers and sisters. Regis ordered that they should be seated in the first row of the auditorium as a silent homage to the man who loved them so dearly. You see, stop. We're talking about an administration of an institute in the beyond. He was not well regarded as a good administrator simply. He was well regarded for the love he emanated to his patients. Psychologists, physicians, healthcare providers, we all need to love each and every person who comes our way. We need to love. We need to care. It's not by chance that this person is in front of us, that they need our helping hand. And it reminds me of the song, lean on me when you're not strong. And it says in another part, one day I'll be the one who will need to lean on somebody else, right? Lean on me when you're not strong. I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on. Ah, la da da da. And this is pretty much how it goes by when we are helping one another, fully aware, spiritist-wise, that today we're being a helping hand, but tomorrow we'll need help as well. Maybe this person won't be there, but somebody else will. Like Brother Felix, people were leaning on him. Now it's his turn to need help as well. Right, Adilson, hello, how have you been? And here we have Fernanda. How have you been, Fernanda? Big hug to you. All right. Felix finally arrived, exhibiting the firmness and serenity that marked his character. He sat down, serene, between the minister of regeneration, who represented the governor, and Brother Regis, who would replace him. However, as he looked around at the thousands of faces that filled entryways, halls, stairways, and galleries, with the sickly sitting in front, Felix's own face displayed an unfathomable emotion. A choir of 500 children's voices, prepared beforehand by grateful sisters, sang two hymns that transported us to the heights of sentiment. The first was entitled God Bless You, and was sung as an offering from his older acquaintances. The second was Come Back Soon, Beloved Friend, and was a homage of reverence from his younger acquaintances. When the last chords of the orchestra died away, 200 patients paraded by Felix in the name of the Institute, giving his less fortunate brothers and sisters the joy of shaking his hand and offering him flowers. Music, flowers, expression of affection. We will repeat it. Music, flowers, and expression of affection. Oftentimes, when we do tributes on earth, everything is so, there's a lot of words. In the spiritual realm, it's more about vibrations and feelings. So music, flowers, and expression of affection, they come first. At one day, we're going to materialize that on earth. We'll be less concerned about words and more about the expression of our affection. But we need to practice it daily at home with our family. Saying more, I love you, I care about you, I trust in you. You know, so many parents tell me they believe in their children, but when I ask them, do you express it to your child? They say, no, I don't need it. No, you do. Tell your child daily how blessed by God they are. And that's not to incite pride, but to make sure that they are fully aware that they are on earth because God wants them to be here now. As much as God wants you and me to be here. Right, Renata? Right, Raquel? Welcome, friends. And then, of course, the transfer of authority was very simple, very simple. In the spiritual realm, they don't make a big deal out of positions. like we do on earth, with an exposition and reading of a text relating to the change. With the transfer completed, the Minister of Regeneration on the governor's behalf embraced the brother who was leaving and Investor Regis was staying. The new director, in a voice of someone who was weeping inwardly, made a short speech, asking the Lord to bless the colleague about to reincarnate, while simultaneously wishing Felix vows of triumph in the endeavors he would undertake. Hesitant and humble, he ended by inviting Felix not only to speak, but also to continue as head of that place, a right that he, Regis, deemed incapable of being transferred. Extremely moved, Felix stood up, and as if he did not have anything else to say to the institution that had benefited from more than 50 years of his work, Felix lifted his voice in prayer. Before I finalize with the prayer, we need to emphasize this. Time and again, André Luiz shows to us in these books how in the spiritual realm, these social gatherings don't have the external things that we're creating on earth. And for us spiritists, we need to come back to simplicity and true fraternal expression in our gatherings. Though with order, with simplicity, it's about harmonious music, flowers, prayers, short speeches, true feelings. If you ask, is it possible to do it? Yes, it is. Rescue the beauty of Chico Xavier's life, and we're going to see how it is. It's the true apostleship in Spiritism. So our dear brother Felix lifted his voice in prayer. Let us pray with brother Felix now. This is his illuminated prayer. A director of an institute that is taking care of many people who had disturbances in their sexuality. After 50 years, he prays, and it's pretty much a paragraph, a long paragraph, but a paragraph. And in his illuminated prayer, there's a lot of gratitude, solidity, and lessons for us. O Lord Jesus, what more could I ask of you when you have already given me everything? Expressed in the devotion of my friends who have surrounded me in the undeserved light of their love. Nevertheless, O Master, in placing myself under your blessing, I still have something to ask of you in faith. Now that the new endeavors are calling me back to earth, please help me in your mercy so that I may be worthy of the trust and devotion of this place, where for more than half a century I have received the magnanimity and tolerance of all. Faced with this opportunity of taking a new body on the physical plane in order to redeem my debts and to heal the old internal wounds that I bear as a dreadful vestige of my transgressions, mercifully induce these friends listening to me now to help me with the benevolence with which they have always surrounded me, so that I may not slide into new failures. O Lord, bless us, and may you be glorified forever. Felix pronounced the last words, having difficulty overcoming the emotions he had tried to hide. But as if the firmament were immediately answering his prayer, friends from the higher realms, who were present for the occasion but invisible to us, made use of the spiritual energies of the entire audience and focused them on one purpose. An outpouring of luminous petals materialized, descending from the ceiling in waves of unforgettable fragrance and vanishing as soon as they touched our heads. Expectations were continuing in moments of joyful silence when a vehicle stopped at the entrance door. A woman dressed in light entered the auditorium. Immediately, the entire audience stood up, including the Minister of Regeneration, who enveloped her in a look of profound reverence. I hesitated, but just for a moment, jubilant, I recognized her at once. She was Sister Damiana, a member of Nosso Lar's team of champions of charity in the darkness. Felix had kept a portrait of her in his home and was tied to her with strong bonds of affection. The extremely modest benefactress had dressed herself in splendor, a splendor that had cost her many, many sacrifices, just to show the delight with which she had come there to receive and prepare that man whom she loved as a son of her heart for reincarnation. So, this is the beauty of the reincarnation of Brother Felix, and in his illuminated prayer, we see his humility. He is grateful for everything. He recognizes that 50 years of continuous devotion as a director of an institute of thousands of souls, thousands of workers, is not a merit of his, but now it's a way of his redemption and an opportunity that he conquered after 50 years to go back, reincarnate, and ace in this reincarnation. For you and I, we're reincarnated. How much work was done by the good spirits to make this happen? Are we complaining? Are we finding it challenging? We need to recalibrate ourselves. We forgot about the plan. It's time to remember. Let's not accept any comfort. Let us propose ourselves to devote ourselves to helping others. Because as much as there is somebody crying and suffering, we need to work on our end. And you may be asking, but Vanessa, what if somebody is in need and I cannot help them at that time, but we can help with a prayer? There are many ways of helping. Sometimes the help that people need is not what they need. And the spirit mentors will tell us, like a child. Sometimes they will come to us and say, Mom, I want an ice cream now. That will make me happy. And we'll say, I don't think so. Right now, an ice cream is not going to be the best deal. We need a fruit, or we need water. So, we're not talking about giving people what they want. helping people what they need. And that discernment takes a while for us to adjust, but we're never alone. People and us, we all have protecting spirits. If we raise our thoughts all the time to the higher spirits, they will whisper to us. They will show to us what we need and what other people need. Brother Felix, in his prayer, he's humbling himself in gratitude and asking for help. After 50 years of work. My friends, during the next 24 hours, we're being asked to be grateful for this reincarnation, for the efforts of many who put it all together, and for the things we requested to go through in this life, the learning experiences. So let us do this affirmation during the next 24 hours. I embrace my reincarnation with gratitude. Let us say it. You can put your hand in your heart and say it. I embrace this reincarnation with gratitude. 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 Let us feel the blessings and practice this, inspired by Brother Felix. Tomorrow when we come back, we're going to study another illuminated prayer in another book by Andrea Lewis, and life goes on. For now, we're very grateful to Andrea Lewis, Chico Xavier, Valdo Vieira, for reporting to us this deep awareness. Thank you, dear Lord, for these moments of awareness as we recalibrate ourselves to keep on redeeming ourselves in this life. Thank you, and so be it. As we embrace this reincarnation with gratitude, right, Carol Correa? Let us experience the next 24 hours with an open mind, an open heart, open to the learning. Illuminated Prayers with Andrea Lewis here at Kardec Radio. Thank you, friends. A big hug.